Welcome to the In My Opinion Show with Ronald Barrington Robinson and friends, seen on the internet 24 hours, 7 days a week. I would like to say thank you for our millions of viewers worldwide for supporting this show. I want to introduce our very talented co-host, Ms. Jackie Williams.
Hello, everyone.
And Mr. Henry Hatter.
Hi, Ron and Jackie. It's good to be here.
Thank you. America the Beautiful. Let's take a candid look at what is happening in America and around the world. Here in America, we have lone wolves, adults killing hundreds of innocent people. We have school-age children killing dozens of innocent schoolmates at schools. We have thousands dying of opiate use. If that's not enough, we have law enforcement killing thousands of citizens a year. We have a president that can't tell the difference between a lie and the truth. The U.S. has thousands of men and women stationed around the world claiming to spread democracy. We have a foreign power, North Korea, threatening to destroy the U.S. with nuclear bombs. Right here at home, Flint, Michigan, death is imminent for many. For several years, we're forced still to drink poison water, have the highest water rates in the country that has already killed untold citizens. Thousands more have been sickened. Hundreds of unborn aborted. All because of lies and stupid bureaucracy from the governor on down to local city leaders. This behavior is more reminiscent of third world countries. First, let's talk about opiate use that's killing thousands in prisons and imprisoning thousands more. Doctor prescriptions by the millions written. Insurance companies billions of dollars in profits. Television and social media glorifying drugs. Is this America the Beautiful? I think not. We're talking about opiates, Jackie. Give our viewers your view.
Well, this epidemic is really running across America rapidly, and unfortunately, it is not always the user's fault. When they allow the regulations to the pain meds to be loosened, a lot of doctors prescribe more, and this is very highly addictive. And I don't think they did enough research before allowing the FDA? Which one?
Yeah.
Okay, Food and before they had approved it, I don't think it was enough research behind, how it said may cause, because these are highly addictive. But I want to point out that the people that you see addicted to this is not your typical people that are on drugs that people stereotype. These are not people that are not working. These are not people that are having a hard time. These are working individuals. A lot of them are working individuals that have gone to their doctors to have some type of pain release. And they've been given this medication, which is so highly addictive, it has caused for them to be highly addictive to it, and they've caused for them to overdose because your body yearns to have more of the medicine, and that's when they're ODing, and that's why they're having to have not just medical professionals, but police officers, ambulatory services, able to administer something to help bring them out if they are to overdose, because they're dying locally. In Mount Morris, just I believe in the last 2 months, they had 4 people die from the same apartment. And they're not the typical people that you would think would be on drugs. These are nurses, a school teacher. So this is what I'm saying. This is hitting the professionals per se, and it is running rapid. And because they did not see it coming, they're behind trying to catch up with the solution to it, so to speak.
Well, you mentioned earlier that you've taken a class.
Yes, Convoy of Hope, when they had the Flint, and it was a beautiful program which brought all Flint together, and they offered health services and screenings and food and clothing and shoes free for all Flint residents regardless to your financial background. And one of the things that Genesee County Health Department was trying to, mental health, was trying to express is that we need more people active in the communities able to combat this situation. So they had opportunities for people to be trained to help an overdose victim, and they also had kits that were free of charge. And I took that opportunity to be a respondent, and I'm certified, and I have the meds on me to be able to bring somebody out of an overdose status.
I have a question. If people feel in need, okay, or they need somebody to talk to, or they need some medical attention, what would you suggest that they...
Genesee County Mental Health has a health line that you can talk to, and then they have like suicide branches, so it branches out, so you can call and say you're having a problem with this addiction, and then they have areas where you're suicidal. They have like all types of things set up through the Genesee County Mental Health, so it's just an excellent program that they have available for people in Flint.
Mr. Hatter, what are your thoughts?
Well, thank you. Mine are, first of all, going to be in the way of questions to Jackie because she's the subject matter expert here. Jackie, how does the type of opioid drugs that has now become an epidemic in Genesee County and elsewhere in Michigan, how does that drug differ from drug combinations of cocaine?
Well, cocaine
And
is...
one is probably closer to being a legal drug, and the other is probably under the table type of drug.
Right, because if you were to seek out cocaine, you would have to illegally do it, and you would spend money to do it. Opiate, you can use your insurance card. So it's rapidly available to people because they just go and get it filled, versus having to track down someone who is selling illegal drugs.
In your opinion, which drug is most vulnerable to the population, including kids and all people?
Prescription, because it's easier to obtain.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Ubiquitous.
Because people go to the doctor, and then that's back to, I think we talked prior to the show starting, we were talking about how it's your responsibility. You know, and when I say yours, my responsibility is Ronald's, is Henry's. When your doctor give you a prescription, it is your due diligence to check the warning label. When you see those commercials may cause dizziness, don't just dismiss that. You want to make sure you're checking to see what has been researched, because everything that's on the warning label, I want to make sure you hear this, has happened. Did you know that? Everything they put on the warning label has happened, and that's why it's recorded on the warning label. So this is not something they're just putting out there to scare you. These things have taken place, and they know that more things could possibly take place. So do your due diligence and make sure that just because your doctor is prescribing something, if it's causing for you to be knocked out for an unlimited amount of hours, and you're losing data in your mind of what's going on, be good and call your doctor. Due diligence, make him give you something else, or lesser the dosage. You don't have to take stuff if you're not in pain. You don't have to take it. I mean, consult your doctor and tell them, give me something less, potent, and they can do that.
And also, don't use other people's drugs. Okay, I can speak from facts. When I got hurt on the job, okay, I was prescribed some medication. I took maybe 2 doses, 2 pills, and immediately I started feeling funny. But what I did was I immediately called the doctor and told him that, listen, this is not, I can't take this stuff, okay? And I was told to flush them, in which I did, and I'm glad I did, because anytime you're taking medication, as Jackie mentioned, you're feeling something other than what you should be feeling in your mind. Consult your doctor and see what he or she has to say.
Now, there are 84,000 kids in Genesee County, school-age kids, K through 12. What do you tell students? Now, they are probably listening to you right now. What do you tell students about the danger of opioids and how you resist them?
Because-
and what to look for.
What people don't understand is when you go to the pharmacy and the pharmacist prescribe you medication, he doesn't just prescribe you medication. He looks at your history. He looks at what you're already taking. He looks at your size. He looks at your weight. He looks at your age. I mean, there's a lot of determining factors. So if I try to take Ronald's medication, we're not the same size, we're not the same height, it might be too strong for me. So that's why you should not take other people's medication, because I had some mother give my son, when he wasn't feeling good, some of her medication, and I had to educate her of how dangerous. But I was paying attention, and I noticed that he wasn't, he was doing a lot of sleep. What do you sleep for? You know what I mean? Because things that are abnormal, you pay attention. And so it's so important, because where it might just make him a little sleepy, it might knock me out. And I might be knocked out, and it's not healthy. You know what I mean?
Well, what do you tell kids who are listening to the show right now who have drugs in the kitchen cabinet or the bathroom cabinet? They're just there, accessible to them. They don't tell the mom or dad that they're going to go to the cabinet and take a drug. What do you tell them? What kind of precautions would you give them?
You really do
And this
not.
is the likelihood to be the kind of way that students access those drugs.
Yes, because that's what they said. It's a commercial. I'm glad you said that, Henry, because there's a commercial that says, I don't know his name, Tommy's going to visit his grandmother. And it's the most dangerous visit, because grandma had all this medication. She doesn't have it put up, and he just goes through and picks out what he wants. You, as a person that's being prescribed medication, have a responsibility. Students, you have a responsibility. You have to protect yourself. You have to put your guard up, and you have to know that you in no circumstances are to take medication from somebody else's purse, pocket, or any kind of dispenser. You are not to take that medication, because you don't know where the medication has been. You don't know what's prescribed in the medication. You don't know what it's for. And it's just very dangerous. And this is what is going on. People are sharing their medications, and people are overdosing. They're having suicidal thoughts, because a lot of side effects affect people differently. And so it's very dangerous, and it could be the end.
Ron, this is my last question to Jackie. Jackie, what classification of drugs do kids go to the cabinet and take out first? Are they pain pills?
Yes.
Are they sleeping pills?
Pain
Or
pills.
are they depressants?
Pain pills, because a lot of times, a lot of kids don't like to endure pain. And so think about it, you have the best advertisement from our grandparents and our mother. I was hurting real bad, and then I took my medication. So we advertise without realizing we're advertising things that they should not have. You know what I mean? Instead of saying, if you're hurting, we need to get you some different. And that's what we need to say, what is correct in front of our children and our young people. If you're in pain, I need to take you to the doctor so he can assess your situation, because it's not the same as mine. Each person is different. Each fingerprint is different. Each person is different. So I might be able to take some medication, but then you might take it, and it might cause for you to overdose.
Should a kid, 16 years old or 17-year-old, who has gone to the cabinet and taken 2 pills, didn't know what they were pain pills, and was on the street or in school or was driving, should that person be charged with a criminal offense? Now, you got the cat. These are opioids.
Right.
Okay, this is not a...
Well, they charged
Fortunate.
Tiger Woods. Remember?
Well, I
Tiger
don't...
Woods,
Opioids are something...
No,
new.
but I'm saying Tiger Woods had pain medicine. They never told what it was. But Tiger Woods had some pain medication, and he was driving, and they charged him and put him in jail.
Should students exposed to the same kind of drugs
I'm thinking
be
they
criminally
should be.
charged?
And the reason why I'm saying that is because if you don't put guidelines, people are going to continue to cross them.
But that's the law. The law has to do that.
Yes.
But my question is, should kids be charged
Yes,
if they
because
have
it's
access?
a crime.
Or should the parents be charged?
No, because both should be charged.
Okay, no, we need to think through this.
No, because I'm saying you should charge, because My doctor tells me when I get my medication, they tell you, put your medication up where it is not accessible to children or people that are not taking this medication. They tell you the worst place to put your prescription medication is in the medicine cabinet, because think of all the traffic in there versus if you had it in a private place where only you knew where it was, and you can monitor if it's missing, or if you know that some reason you need a refill and you should need a refill, then you'll be able to be alarmed. So the responsibility is on the person that is prescribed the medication, but then the responsibility is on you making choices. So when you go in the bathroom, you know that's not your medication. What you're doing, if you're driving under the influence, you could kill someone, and you're responsible. You have to be, every top has to sit on its own bottom. So you have to be responsible for what you do. And that's one of the things that America is fleeing away from. We don't like to be responsible for what we're responsible for. And we need to understand that we can be charged by doing these things, because it's turning into a horrible epidemic all across America.
Exactly, and more so, I think, in our community, with the water situation and opiate use, and and sexual transmitted diseases here in Genesee County, and a host of unemployment. I mean, there's a whole lot of social factors that enter into all of this. Okay, so you don't have one answer for
everything.
It's impossible.
Right.
Thank you, Jackie, for that great erudition.
I thank Genesee County Mental Health for updating us with that information. I appreciate that.
If a person wants to take the test, what's the criteria? I mean, to be able to
There is an
administer.
application. There is an application, and they do ask questions, and then they have to go through and approve the application, of course. So they do have an application that you do have to fill out prior to being, because they have to be careful, because, a lot of times you have to think mind over matter. People start thinking quickly, if I register to get the medicine to stop the overdose, then I can continue my usage. That's how a lot of times the mind is working when it's being addicted. It's not thinking clearly. So you have to be careful not to put it in the wrong hands.
Well, I know in some school districts that they have a rigorous program, lots of rigor on opioid medicine. Clio's one of them, and they have prepared their staff to quickly react to a situation that occurs on the school campus, and advise other people of how to be more responsible for their actions when they go to cabinet and pull out an opioid drug.
Right.
I think that's the first step. You need to educate your public first. And then from there, you make a determination of whether this is a criminal offense, at least for schools,
Well, and then when you say educate your public, parents, it is so important for you not to be in denial. Please don't say what your kid will not do. Because in the presence of us, a lot of things they will not do. But out of our presence, peer pressure will change a lot of their minds. And you don't know what your child is facing. And bullying is in school. So you don't know what they're combating. So please don't just do the denial and just not prepared to have this conversation. Because this needs to be a dinner topic. And it needs to happen more than once a month. It needs to happen weekly to reinforce how important it is for you not to take prescription drugs that are not prescribed to you, and not to abuse the ones that are prescribed to you.
And Ron, excuse me, my last thought. This is really a good discussion, because we're talking about our kids. And we've talked a long time that we need to focus on our kids, improving the quality of life for them, and also training them so they don't make the mistakes that others have made in the past. And also to make sure that our kids don't get a felony before they get to be 21.
And I don't think people understand that. I deal with so many people who receive felonies at 18.
Yeah.
And I need people to understand that regardless of how you receive these felonies, unless you go through an expunging class and it qualifies, you are with that felony for the rest of your life, and it will close many doors.
Close many doors.
doors.
also too, children nowadays are much smarter, it appears, than when I was coming up or we were coming up. Okay, because they have all of these influences. All right, that are hitting them in the face every day. Whether it's social media, television, friends, and that. What are some of the questions on those tests? Or I'm not tests, but those to qualify you for what
I'm trying to
you're doing?
remember briefly. It was like maybe 2 or 3 pages. It asks about, if you're married, how long have you lived in a house, because that's important. Because a lot of people who are not stable in their thinking, they tend to move a lot. And they were kind of giving me reasons why they had these on there. And I was like, oh, that's really good information. They asked to see if you're stable. They want to make sure you have a driver's license, make sure that, you're being a responsible citizen first. Because a lot of times when you have an addictive personality, you're not responsible in a lot of areas. So most people that are living day by day are not handling long term.
The more you talk about that, the more questions I think of. But that's dedicated to adults. But we want to save our kids. That our focus should be on our kids first.
Right.
And because the consequences are far more outreaching.
But the focus is on the kids, but what it is our parents have left the home. They left the responsibility and they've transferred it to the schools. They transferred it to their friends. They transferred it to the street. Because a lot of times when kids come home now, there's no one there. So they're able to make a lot of decisions that normally children are not supposed to make. Because I remember a little girl telling me her mom wasn't home when she came home, and she tried to trick me and make me think that her mother was there. But then she said, when that big hand gets on that 12 and that little hand gets on that 8, my mother will be here. So that's been taught. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we have to re-educate parents of what parenting is, because a lot of times they think that if a kid is a little smart, then they're able to make mature choices. They're not. They're still children. They still have the mindset of a child, and that's how they think. They think like a child, so they make mistakes. So they see you gobbling up a whole bunch of pills. A lot of times kids want to be like the parents. They're going to gobble pills because this is what you've done in front of them. You haven't worked and you sat on the couch. That's what they want to do because they mimic the people that are in their lives. They're not going to mimic something they don't see. And that's important. That's why we are teaching our kids even when we're not talking.
Exactly.
What should schools do more of to protect the kids, and how the Department of Health and the police department all are tied into this process because they all have a role to play?
Right.
What should they be doing, each one of them, to improve the quality of life who are inflicted with the use of this?
I think funding, because they were talking about all this new funding that's coming down. I think there should be funding for truancy. Remember truancy? Because what it is it's making sure that when kids are home, somebody's there to make sure that they're not there making bad choices and they're not there taking care of themselves, that somebody responsible is responsible for the children, that they watching what they're doing, they're watching, because look at 3-year-olds shooting each other. If a parent is around and if you're being safe and you're doing the things that we're supposed to do, these things can be avoided. Shooting a 3-year-old can be avoided because you can have your gun, if you are a gun holder, you can have your gun locked up in a safe place where your 3-year-old should not be able to access your gun. And so it's so many things that we can do to educate people who forget. Because what it is, a lot of times, they said that everybody don't have the same knowledge. So just like the newspaper reaches out from a 4th grade level, is it 4th grade level? It's because that's how we have to come at the parents. We have to reach them at a 4th grade level, so we're not missing anybody, but we're capturing everybody.
And we also can't continue to demonize our children too, because they look at an adult as a role model.
That's right.
Okay, and we cannot demonize our children because their futures are at stake.
Right.
Okay, and we have to teach them the best that we know how. all right, positively that, look, that's mom or daddy or grandma's medication, all right, and also count your pills, because you don't know what's on your children's minds. You know what I mean? Go in there and open up that bottle and count them every day.
That's good. That's
and
good.
make sure that you have what's supposed to be in there. Okay, because as Jackie mentioned, you know what I mean. These are children, all right, and they think like children.
And then everything is accessible now. You can go online and see people ODing. You can go online because there's no filter. You know, the filter is the parent. We are the filter. Parents are the filter. We are here to filter what our kids are, come in contact with. That's what our job is, to filter and to teach. It's not the school's responsibility to teach them all these things. They reinforce what we're teaching at home. So we have to go back. To me, I would think that the first course of business would be to educate that home. We have to get homes turned back into homes and not houses. Because we have to take the parents back to the house. Kids can't be left endless hours with no supervision. We have to make sure that parents are able to understand good bedtime so they're making good choices. Because a lot of times if you're not getting enough rest, you're not making good choices. Just like us, we're not making good choices. So I think it needs to be transferred back to the home. We need to educate the parents, and then the schools will reinforce, and we will support, and so will the police department and ambulatory services.
Again, we got about 30 seconds. Again, tell our viewing audience where you can go to get help, not just only here in Flint, Michigan, and Genesee County, but I'm sure other states around the country.
The health department all across the United States is taking an active role in this. The health department can give you the branches that you need in your state or your country or your city. So please reach out. Don't just deal with this. You're not alone. We have help coming. We have funding coming. Please contact your schools if you don't know. I'm sure they can give you some resources as well, and we can beat this thing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie.
This is Ronald Barry Robinson and friends for the In My Opinion show, saying until next time, stay focused.